Hello everyone, I'm Lee from Vapor Clean Cleaning Services, and today I want to give you some top tips on how to make sure you get your deposit back when moving home. Before we jump straight in, if you want to learn how to clean better while saving time, money and the planet along the way, click subscribe below and check out some more of our videos. So, the big thing, when you're moving home, it's costly. You've given a big deposit to your existing landlord, you've given a big deposit to your new landlord, you're paying rent in advance and your moving costs and everything else. Money's going everywhere. What you want to do is make sure you get that deposit back. So what do you need to do to make sure that happens? Step one is starts before you move in or as you move in. You need to make sure you set yourself up from the day you move into that property. And you do that by taking pictures of everything. And you want to do this when you move out as well, because there are some landlords out there that will try and pull the wool over your eyes or try and pull a fast one. So make sure you take pictures of everything and you've got evidence. And if you're communicating with your landlord or your letting agent, make sure you keep the correspondence. Any written correspondence, keep the evidence of it, build a pack so you've got it. Especially if you move in and there's something wrong. If you move in and let's say, for example, because it's a common one that we find, you move in and the kitchen looks clean, but actually it's sticky, it's greasy. And you raise that with the estate agent. And even if you turn around and you say, oh, I'll clean it myself because it's quicker and easier, make sure you keep that information, because you want to be able to use that when you move out, because they could make sure that you have it cleaned by someone else, but it wasn't clean when you moved in. The other thing to make sure when you move in is make sure that your deposit is legally protected. So make sure it's in with a deposit scheme, not just in the landlord's bank account or in an estate agent's bank account or whatever it might be. It needs to be in a deposit security scheme. That way, if there's any disputes, it's not one party or the other that decides, it goes to the third independent party and they're the ones that decide what's fair. Because typically it's what's unfair that is the reasons that cause disputes and deposits to be held onto. And last thing before you move in or as you move in, ask for an inventory. There should be a detailed inventory and a detailed check-in report. And then when you move out, there should be a detailed inventory and a detailed checkout report. Make sure you keep it. When you move in, the agent or landlord should be paying someone to come in that does this for a living and take pictures of everything and document everything. That means you know what you've moved into, but also what you've moved out of as well. And remember, if you've taken pictures before you move out and then they give you a checkout report and they don't match, again, you've got a dispute and grounds for making sure you get your money back. Now, step one in preparing to move out. This is the one where you're thinking, right, I'm going to move. What do I do to make sure I get my deposit back? First of all, you watch this video, but you're already doing that. No, seriously, step one is get hold of your tenancy agreement and actually read it. I know it's probably going to put you to sleep, but read it. There's things in there such as make sure your carpets are professionally cleaned. Make sure the oven is professionally cleaned. Or it could say, make sure the property is left in a clean and habitable state. That's a little bit more open though, and that's the definitions you're looking for. If it says that it is professionally cleaned, you have to make sure that you are actually getting a professional cleaning company in to do the work for you. And step 2 of that, if you are getting a cleaning company in for you, check with the agent to make sure that they are using that you are using a company that they feel is reputable. Make sure that the company you're using is going to provide you with evidence. This should be a checklist. It should detail exactly what they've done. The reason a landlord or an agent will say professionally cleaned isn't to catch you out, it's to keep that consistent standard on every single property, every single time a tenant moves out. Believe it or not, there is actually difference in opinion in what's clean. So by having a professional in, you're getting a consistent standard. By having a professional that the agents trust, they know what that standard already is. That's why they trust them, because they've already got a working relationship. Make sure what professional means as well. So the one that we see all the time is, my agreement says I've got to have my carpets professionally cleaned. And then you go to a supermarket and you hire a rug doctor or some other type of carpet cleaning gear. That's not a professional clean, because again, and don't get me started on how rubbish the equipment can be, but again, if the person doing the work doesn't do it right, the result won't be right. That's where the difference is. And that's why they say a professional clean, because a professional should be able to reach the best possible standard. And I say should, because again, make sure you get the evidence, make sure you're using a reputable company that actually knows what they're doing. There's far too many cowboys out there these days. Make sure you throw out your rubbish. Any rubbish that you might leave in the house. It's another company that the agent might have to call in. They won't even walk in, or many won't even walk in and pick up one bag of rubbish. And honestly, who blames them? It's not actually their job. So make sure that you are emptying any drawers, bagging up rubbish, and either taking it to the tip or putting it in the bins. But if you're putting it in the bins outside, make sure you're catching bin day. And the biggest one of all is coordinate your dates. The hardest thing to do is move out, get a clean, and hand back your keys all in one day. It leaves too much to chance. What you really want to be able to do, and I know it's tough and it can cost even more than you want to pay, but if you can move out a day or two before, you can get a clean, you can get a checkout, and you get a checkout completed, you can get it handed over. If there are any issues, because let's be fair, we're all human, even professionals make mistakes. If there are any issues, you've got chance for a return visit. But it also goes the other way as well. Don't move out too soon. If you move out and then you get a clean, but you don't hand your keys back for 2 weeks later, or they don't do their checkout for 2 weeks after you've done, they could raise some issues. In the summer months, you might get flies, you might get dust, you might get damp and cold in the winter months. Whatever it might be, plan your dates, get it nice and tight and smooth, and you remove a lot of chances of any issues. Next, it's consider replacing anything you may have broken or has gone a bit beyond cleaning. The biggest one we see from cleaners is mold in silicone. Silicone and places like that get really, really moldy. If it hasn't been looked after, and yes, you're not going to like this, but tenants do have to take some responsibility for mold and damp buildup in some rooms. If there isn't sufficient airflow, and we see it all the time where people turn off the extraction fans in a bathroom, which causes a reduced airflow, which can cause damp and mold buildup. But if you've got that, you need to take responsibility for it and you need to try and get it clean. If it gets into the silicone, it is very, very, very difficult to remove, sometimes impossible to remove. And it's often easier to actually get that cut out and get it replaced. Agents can and will charge an organisation fee if they're organising for other trades to come in and do repairs. By you getting it done before they do, you're saving them time, you're saving them energy and effort, which means you're saving yourself money. It's done, it's dusted, and it all goes back. And last but not least, there's one thing to remember. You need to know your rights as a tenant. If you're not fully satisfied with the end decision, you can dispute it. We've seen it time and time again where actually a cleaner's done or something's done and it's disputed. The agent or the landlord will say, oh no, it was better than that when you moved in, or something along those lines, and it's unreasonable. Or they've waited, again, the date for the clean, or the date for the key handover was at one point, and then 3 weeks or a month later they come in and they do a checkout report, and at that point they say the property's dusty. Well, that's unreasonable. The tenancy ended, weeks before you actually did your checkout. So you should have done it then. And you can dispute that, and you can go back and say. And there's also the fact of when someone, an agent or a landlord comes back and says, we feel it could be cleaner. Actually, sometimes you just can't get it any cleaner. There's certain things that you can only get back to a certain condition, and they have to accept that a lot of the time that's typically age and it's wear and tear. And remember, a tenancy agreement will always state within reasonable wear and tear, because that's just that. When you're living in a property, you're using it. There will be certain things that will deteriorate due to wear and tear. Decorating may need to be done depending on the amount of time you're in there or the last time it was done. So there we have it. That's your key facts on how to make sure you get your deposit back when moving out of a property. I hope that's helpful. If you do have any comments, please drop them below. We're happy to answer any questions. And if you want to learn how to clean better while saving time, money, and the planet along the way, click subscribe and check out our videos. Thanks very much, and good luck getting your deposit back.